Well, here we go. I haven't prepared this video. I'm just gonna sit down and we're gonna do an update on our year-end review. Even though we're still kind of just rolling along, but it is getting close to the end of the school year and I know you wanna hear how things have gone, and I'll give you a little sneak peek about what we're gonna try to do for next year. So glad you're here, let's dive in. Hello there, friends. If we haven't met yet, hi, I'm Ashley. I'm here at Joyful Noise Learning, and I love to talk about Charlotte Mason-inspired homeschool, biblically based curriculum, and affordable homeschooling tips and tricks. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, and I'd love to see you here each week with my videos. So some would say that this is the most wonderful time of the year for homeschoolers because we get to wrap up kind of what we've already done and then start looking for what we want to do for next year. But before I move on to what's happening for next year, I do want to do a little recap of how this year has gone for us. So I'm not going to give you a huge introduction. We're just going to get started because there's a lot here and I don't want to make this a long video. We'll start with our group subjects, which is what I normally call morning time. And that's the time that I have all three of my kids. Oh, by the way, if you don't know, I have a 5th grader, 10-year-old, a 2nd grader, and a 5-year-old. I'll talk to you more about their grades and how that works later, but basically a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 10-year-old is what I have. And in the morning, we start our day first with morning time. And the first thing I like to do is Bible. So I tried a few different things this year, but the main thing that I wanted to stick with was memorizing scripture. So at the beginning of January 2021, I created the Hidden in My Heart Bible Memory Challenge, and I put out a weekly email for you and an Instagram post to tell you which verse we're memorizing. I also put out copy work pages for the kids to copy. I decided just to make it myself this year. But if you want to join us on that, I'd love for you to join us. We're still doing it. You can still join us. I'm going to keep doing it through the summer till December is my goal. So please check the link in the description below and you can join us for the Hidden in My Heart Challenge. I would love to see you. That's what we start with. Our kids memorize the scripture all throughout the week. They copy it. I give them handwriting copy sheets to do. We also listen to a song, usually from Seeds Family Worship or a few other things I found on YouTube, and then they memorize it throughout the week, and on Friday I quiz them on it, and then they get to pick from the treasure box if they can say it without my help. And so far it's so good. We've done 12 verses since January, but we did more in the fall as well. So it's really neat to have a packet here that they have all their scriptures all in one spot. And that's been really neat to do. The other thing for Bible is we just read through a certain book of the Bible, or we read through stories and passages. I've used this the last 2 or 3 years, maybe just 2 years, but we came back to it again. I was reading it with my 5-year-old, but I decided to go ahead and read it with all of them again. And we go back and forth between a storybook Bible and the actual Bible. So we did First Peter with the kids, and then we started diving into this one for the story of Jesus and his resurrection and death and burial and resurrection. But that's what we've been using for Bible. Another thing we do in morning time is geography. And in the past, I've used CC Happy Mom's YouTube playlist for her geography songs. She does the classical conversations curriculum basically, and I loved her songs. We kind of fell off of that this semester. We started it in the fall and then we fell off in the winter, but we have been doing Draw Africa, and each week we do a few countries at a time. We're not quite done with it yet. So they draw a few countries at a time. By the end of the school year, they'll have drawn the whole continent of Africa. And I did Europe with them last year. We really liked it. So we decided to go for Africa this year. So we're doing Charlotte Mason Simple Spanish, and I have been loving it. We took a couple weeks off for spring break, but we're gonna pick it back up again in Unit 3. And she puts out several units. I did do a video on it explaining in more detail. You can go check that out. Also, if you'd like to see us do a lesson together, let me know in the comments, and I would be happy to do a simple Spanish lesson for you. But they have songs, there's scripture memory as well, and stories and books, and a little bit of science and like the tree anatomy, or the butterfly anatomy. So it's been really, really neat to incorporate in our morning time. And I read Life of Fred, and the kids love this. We are in Edgewood, and I probably could give it to my oldest daughter to read on her own, but we just read it all together, and everybody gets out of it what they want to get out of it and learn some really neat math concepts. And it's really fun and funny. The kids laugh at it a lot, so we do like Life of Fred. Well, I just grabbed science, so I guess we'll do that one next. Oh. As for science, we did Apologia Astronomy. I didn't grab the book, but at the beginning of the year, starting in August, July, August, we did astronomy from Apologia, and we finished that in the fall. And then for the winter and spring, we've been doing marine biology unit from The Good and the Beautiful. So I got this one for free actually when they gave it out a few months ago, and I just had it printed. We got the ocean anatomy book for Christmas, which went right along with our marine biology unit, so that's been fun. We are almost done with it. I think we have 1 or 2 lessons left. Oh, it looks like it's we gotta do whales and birds, but I love the bright pictures in here. That's been lots of sorting and understanding classifications and kingdoms and families that these animals come from. I haven't been in love with it, but I do enjoy it a bit. It's got some really great pictures in there. It's got some good books to choose from, some living books to read, and we've just been making our way through it 1 lesson at a time, once or twice a week, and that's about all we've done with that. Okay, and lastly for our group subjects, we did, I don't think I did any history in the fall because we were really heavy on history last year and not a lot on science. So I tried focusing on science this year. And then January came, I was having them just read books. I would get stuff from the library, picture books. You know, we were still reading about different kinds of historical things, but we weren't focusing on a historic time period. And then in January, I decided to jump on the Story of the World bandwagon. And I do have all the volumes. We have done volume 1 in the past, but they were really little. My kids don't remember it. So it was when my oldest was like first grade, like kindergarten, first grade, like really, they were really young. I probably could have waited to do it. But now that my oldest is 10, I figured let's just start over and just start in book 1. We did US history 2 years ago. We did medieval history last year. So this year it was an ancient history year, basically. I had this. It didn't go with, the Usborne Book of World History. This is the old one that I think either a friend of mine gave me or my parents had that I picked up. So I have the kids look at the pictures while I read in the book, and then we do a few of the activities in the activity book. So I do like this. I actually like this better than this. So really, I could just get the books they recommend in here and then do some of the the recipes that we try or the crafts. Like my kids really like that. I know not all families do that. They prefer to just read the books, but my kids really like doing the activities. It's a lot of work on my part, but we don't do the crafts and activities every day or even every week, but I try at least once a month to have a good activity that we do together. So since we started that in January, and I picked up with ancient Greece was where we started with, or Babylon, I think, Babylon and ancient Greece. Now we're getting into Rise of Rome. So we're hoping to finish this in the next couple months. And then if you saw one of my update videos of several months ago, I know it's been a while since I've done one, but if you saw one of my videos where I talked about doing the narration journals, this is it. We haven't done the cover just yet. And I did a little bit of thinking, and I was really hoping I could do it with my boys, my younger kiddos, but I realized it's probably more of an activity just for my 5th grader, my 10-year-old. So I've had her do it, and we haven't done it every week. Surprise, surprise, but it's been really neat when we have done it. So my goal was to have her fill up each page with each different subject, but she did a watercolor for science that week and then copied our Bible verse, and we have dated it. She did a watercolor for a fish on this week. This was a combination of science and history here, a little sentence and a drawing for history. And then this was for her reading activity she did for reading. So we've had a few things we've done with that. We have not kept up with it as much as I would like to, but that's as far as we've gotten with that. So I'm hoping, again, to keep working on narration, whether it be written or a drawing, and keep working on that, especially with my oldest, for sure. I'm doing my low voice. It's not as exciting to listen to. Okay, y'all. Now into individual subjects. So my kindergartner is 5 this year. He doesn't turn 6 until August. So we might consider him a second-year kindergartner next year because he wasn't quite ready for some reading curriculums that I was hoping he would do this year. But what we did instead was the Level K Primer course book from The Good and the Beautiful. And he just finished this last week and he was so excited. He wanted to start on his next year's curriculum already. But this was really good, nice and gentle, but he is ready to start reading. He was, again, remembering and learning all the letters and their formation and their sounds. If you'd like to see me do a lesson with him, you can check out the video that I've done in the past, My Day in the Life with my kindergartner. And then if you've seen it before, we stuck with Math with Confidence by Kate Snow. I'm realizing this is a big book. We did not finish because I wasn't able to do lessons with him every week. So there were times with his age and what my other kids require of me, I didn't always do lessons with him, and that was totally fine with me. This one was a little bit easier to get through, but this one required me to sit down with him and do a few activities with him, and sometimes he just was not quite ready for that. But actually, like this week, he just was suddenly like, let's do school, mommy. And I'm like, okay. So we're pulling out his Explode the Code. He's doing 5 pages of Explode the Code. And then he's like, let's do 3 lessons in this. And I was like, okay. So, but I do still love it. And I do still highly recommend this for kindergarten. So we're just going to keep working through it. And when we finish it, we finish it. And then we'll pick up the level 1 right after this. So we probably won't finish it until later this year, but that's fine with me. We're just gonna go through it as best as we can. So as far as my second grader, I did a quick update on his language arts. I did a video on that. You can watch that and see how he's doing, but we are using gentle grammar worksheets here. He finished level 2 of All About Reading, and we are now into level 3. So we went ahead and just started that. And then as for math, he is doing Math with Confidence as well, the 2nd grade level. Oh, and he does Explode the Code. And he's had a really great year. So I've had a really good year with my 2nd grader. So I'm really thankful for that. And I'm excited to just build on that momentum that we have from this year because we found something that clicked. So he just knows what's expected of him each day, and we just get it done and do it. So he's growing really quickly now in reading and spelling. And I'm not sure exactly what I'll add for next year, but I don't think I'm gonna add anything. I might just continue what we've been doing, just the next level of what he needs. You can watch later for more of an update on what I do pick for him for this next school year. Now for my 10-year-old, we'll start with math. For my 10-year-old, she's done math lessons for Living Education from Master Books since level 2. We have done Wrightster as well, which I really love, but she's in book 5 for math lessons, and she's about halfway through. So again, she switches over to her next year curriculum in January. So she wrapped up her 4th grade work in December, and now she's doing her 5th grade work, but she will not finish it by the end of this school year. So she's kind of a little different in that. But another thing we've done with math is we've added teaching textbooks. So she does teaching textbooks, level 5 right now, about 2-3 times a week. And then she does this about 2-3 times a week. And that's worked out really well for her so far. I'll tell you more about teaching textbooks later, but that is what we've added this second half of the year as well. We had a lot of hiccups with my 10-year-old at the beginning of the year, just kind of trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. And I pulled back. I tried to throw a lot at her at the beginning of the year and it just wasn't going very well. So I had to pull back a lot and just go simple. So for example, I started with writing strands with her and I thought it'd be great. She did great for the first 2-3 lessons, and then it kind of crashed and burned halfway through. And I was struggling with how to continue to keep her doing it. So I still think it's a great thing. We might try again, but as you can tell, she does a lot of doodles in the book. So that we had to stop, and we decided to grab, she was just like, I need something prettier, mommy. So we grabbed level 4 of The Good and the Beautiful, and she was ready to start that a long time ago, but we quickly had her get through level 3, and then she started level 4. And it's actually going really well for her. So she's been independent almost 100% with it. and she grabs her stuff, she does her lesson, I check it, and we're good to go. So she's already read a few stories in her reading book here. I love the spelling. Actually, I love the way they do spelling for her. So we're definitely gonna keep doing spelling. But is that everything? Oh, I did do Spanish. Okay, we talked about that. So as you can see, I don't use one type of curriculum for all my kids. I don't use like all the Good and the Beautiful or all master books or all something else. I like to be able to pick and choose for each of my kids and adapt to their strengths and their weaknesses and their needs at the time. And some of that can be exhausting at times, but overall I really enjoy doing that. And I'm thankful to be able to homeschool to be able to do that, adapt to them. But one thing I did notice is I probably adapt too much in certain areas. And I myself as a homeschooling mom need to find something and stick with it and not change too much. And I knew that about myself going into this a long time ago, but I still did it a lot this year. And I was telling a friend, it can feel like whiplash, like curriculum whiplash. And I feel bad for my kids when I do that, just to be honest. So that is one of my goals for the rest of this year, is to finish what we've started, to stick with it, and then to gently get into what we're doing next year and then stick with it. Because my word of the year this year was endurance. And there are times when things can get hard that I can just drop everything. I'm like, oh, it's too hard, we can't do it. I think there are times, especially as my kids are getting older, that I'm gonna need to push and just keep going, and not in a Nazi, like, you have to do this kind of a way, but just like you know what, we've committed to this, let's keep pushing through, maybe slow down, but not drop everything altogether. And that's kind of my reflection on how this year went. So to me, it wasn't necessarily my favorite year, to be honest. I've had other years that were my favorite, but after doing homeschooling for 7 years, I really think I am coming into, I know what my kids need, and I know what we do well with and what we don't do well with. I've been a little afraid to actually jump in with both feet into some of the Charlotte Mason things that I've talked about. So I think I'm gonna try, they'll just have to watch my video on what I've chosen for next year. So that will be coming up very soon here. We'll do a curriculum reveal video, so I'm pretty excited about that. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you next time. Have a great day.